girls team, which is it's a big thanks to Robin and Andrew Bluey for getting that up, especially Robin, the amount of time that he's put in to get that up and about. Last year we were a joint side with Blackburn, and we've got a lot more girls just coming towards the end of last year. So this year's been great. We've been able to get our own side up and running. The other positive thing also is through the juniors and the seniors, there's strong numbers in all age groups. I think the only age group that we would encourage everyone, new players, but we're short on at the moment is under 16s. We're looking for another 2 or 3 players. So if anyone knows of any under 16, please get in contact with Bluey, and he will speak you through that. Now, in the off season as well, we've had a renovation done to the kitchen. Is Glenn Mackey on the call? If you could unmute yourself, Max, and Glenn's going to talk us through what's happened with the kitchen that him and Dave have both worked pretty hard through the off season.
Yeah, so we got a grant through the federal government to do an upgrade of the kitchen. We've got
next slide, Billy.
New, well, there it is. New oven, cooktop, new range hood. The fridge will move out of that space, new freezer going in. So the look of it there is a way that we would like to keep it in that sort of condition throughout the season. Presuming we can get back into the rooms, we can make a bit more use of it, and people look after it. We've got it for a long time to come.
So really big thanks to Glenn and Dave, who've put in a mountain of effort over the off season. Max and both Dave liaising with the contractors. Some things weren't right, and Glenn was down there most days, taking care of and taking control of it. The bar's been redone as well. We've got 2 new fridges coming there, which will keep our soft drinks and alcoholic beverages nice and cold. Next on the agenda is the COVID update, which I'll hand over to Rob Nash. This is probably one that everyone really needs to take listen to, please, as this is going to be very important, because there will be people out there who will be taking photos if we're all too close together. So I'll let Rob talk more about that. Over to you, Rob.
Thanks, JP, and yeah, for those who don't know, John Paul, he's our Vice President of our club, and does an amount of work behind the scenes as well. So thanks for running tonight, JP, and Max. For those who don't know, Max, who's just spoken, obviously is also a life member of the club and coach of juniors, junior players for years. So yeah, thanks to everybody for coming along tonight. What I don't want to spend too much time on COVID, because I'm tipping we're all over it, but there are a few things that it is important that we know now, to give everybody a bit of an idea as to what to expect with the recent government announcements. So I am going to spend probably 5 to 10 minutes just going through the next 4 slides. I'm sure there'll be questions, there'll be opportunities for questions, not just tonight, but also over the next, probably the next few weeks and into the season as well. So for those who are new to the club, or for those who participated and played at Nunawading last season during COVID, a lot of it's the same, but there's also a lot of it that's different. Essentially, Nunawading Cricket Club, we will follow the legislation and directives of the Chief Health Officer at all times. That is our commitment to all of our club members, with a view that will also provide a safe place to play cricket and come together and enjoy ourselves. And gosh knows we all need that at the moment. Like last season and also this year in the off season, Cricket Victoria have been working with the state government to work out what is allowed in terms of cricket. So when I talk about cricket, I'll come back to the club rooms and the social functions a little bit later on, but the focus of the first bit is really around cricket and getting on the park and training and playing again. So Cricket Victoria has kept us and the association and all clubs informed over the winter as restrictions have changed and what's been possible is being possible. We were looking at when 70% of Victorians were double vaccinated, which was the 26th of October, where training would be permitted. That obviously was brought forward to this coming Friday, where we'll hit that 70% mark and restrictions do start to loosen, which is great. I'll let Rob Ferdinands talk a little bit more and Bluey talk a little bit more about the training schedules and whatnot, but we'll be kicking that off next week. So I don't think we've got anything planned for Friday, Saturday or Sunday, but definitely as of next week, training will start. So yay to that, that's really great. Matches, we're always scheduled to start at 80% of fully vaccinated in Melbourne. Given the timing difference now between 70% and 80% in terms of frequency, I think we're due to hit 80% over the Melbourne Cup weekend, probably on the Saturday or Sunday. Cricket Victoria, the associations are really looking at wanting to make sure we can get 3 weeks worth of training in before matches do start. So we're now looking at probably that weekend of, it's to be confirmed, but very, very likely the weekend of Friday, I think it's Friday the 12th, Saturday the 13th, Sunday the 14th, being the kickoff for cricket matches. So that'll be seniors, that'll be juniors, and most likely, and again, I'll let others speak to the dates, but also possibly our junior blasters as well, which will be fantastic. Obviously all subject to change, but that's at a really high level where we're at. I'll jump to the next slide and just go through some of the individual logistics with this. So last season, those at the club will realise or remember that we were using a QR code known as breadcrumb. At that point in time, there was no Victorian government requirement to have a consistent app across everywhere. Obviously, since the end of last season, the Services Vic app, which we're all now very used to signing in with, is in place. So we will have a Services Vic app. We'll have 2 different ones. We'll have one for outside where we're training and playing, and then we'll also have a separate one for our club rooms as well. So, so that again is, will be a slight change from last year. We'll have postage up. We'll have our A-frames, QR codes around in several locations. And we're also going to, and I know the world's changed a little bit. I'm no medical expert, but I know the world's changed a bit in terms of transmission of COVID. This time last year, we were talking about surfaces and as such, we were wiping things down and sanitizer. We'll still have all that available. Hygiene plays a really important aspect in these times at the moment. However, obviously, there's more and more information becoming readily available that transmission generally occurs in the through the air more so than surfaces, but we'll still have that. So as you can see, 70% double vaxxed, which training will start next week. Some of the requirements that Cricket Victoria have put in place this year, we won't have to be restricted to our training number sizes at 70%. So last year, there were at different stages. You could only train in groups of 10, or you could only train with your own team and the likes. Those training groups, from the information that came out yesterday from Cricket Victoria, that's not required. Also at 70%, masks for participants when you're batting, bowling or fielding are not required at any age group. Masks will be required for parents and family members at 70% as per the government guidelines. So parents, if you're along watching your children play, you will be requested not to get too close into all the action, as much as we generally always want that to occur, but most welcome to watch from a distance, as per all state government requirements. So you will be needing to wear a mask if you're watching from the seats and whatnot. Also at 70%, while we're training, we won't be able to access the social rooms. That they are not to be opened at this stage. We will obviously have the downstairs toilets open at our club, which we have both facilities, male and female as well. So that's the view of 70%. That's what it looks like. That'll happen next week. So for everyone except for our blasters, we'll be on the park training next week. The club, just like last season, we're taking this really seriously, as everyone should be. But we're really keen to make sure that we make it the most enjoyable experience for everybody as well. When we hit 80%, which will probably be the following week or thereafter, probably Cup week. And again, we're not going to be into matches at that stage because we are waiting, and the association will be waiting for this 3 weeks. So again, we're going to have probably 2 more weeks of training whilst we're at 80% double vaccination. So matches can start. As I said, we won't be doing it, but at 80%, masks won't be required outside. So that's for spectators, coaches, or anybody. So as per the guidelines at 80%, at this stage, there's no mask requirement. to be worn outside. So really, we've only got masks for those who are watching for 1, maybe 2 weeks tops at this stage, which is really great. And we will be looking to get the social rooms open. Now, they're going to be a different set of, dare I say it, rules that will work around the social rooms. We need to apply for things separately to Cricket Victoria in that regard. So Cricket Victoria have done a great job in terms of getting cricket back happening. From a social club perspective, we've got to work a little bit more with local government. We've got to follow a slightly different set of rules, very similar to your local restaurant or pub tab or wherever you may be going. But our intent is to get those rooms open as soon as possible and as obviously as safely as possible as well. So as you can see, 80% starts to look pretty normal from an Nuttawading and cricketing perspective. We'll be playing, we'll be training, we'll have club rooms open, be it with some requirements. There'll be 1 to 2 or 1 to 4 metre things in place in terms of how many people can be in there, but we'll make it happen. We've got a great outdoor area as well, so all of these things will be in place to just try to make sure that everybody is really enjoying themselves as much as possible. Vaccination, so very topical, obviously, not just in cricket circles, but across the society and the world really at the moment. And obviously the 70% and 80% that I've just gone through speak to those types of what's allowed and what's not from a government perspective. Obviously there's different professions at the moment where to work, the government has decreed that you must be fully vaccinated. At the moment, Cricket Victoria, and this is as of yesterday, have advised that they're still waiting on details from the government if it will be a requirement to be vaccinated to play. There's no indication one way or the other on that. There's just no confirmation as to whether that's occurred or not. We will let everybody know, as soon as we know if something in that regard changes. Obviously, the government's position at the moment is that they're obviously trying to get everybody to be fully vaccinated as much as possible. There's just no news on it. It's still being worked through what that means for community sport around vaccination. So you can obviously train next week at this stage, regardless of vaccination status, because there is no requirement on that as well. And then similarly, from a club rooms perspective and access to the club rooms, it's a little bit of TBC at this stage. So we're not going to have the club rooms open for at least the first week, possibly up to 2. So again, it is a work in progress. I don't want to use these words that we've all been hearing all the time about being flexible and all those types of things. But as soon as we know, we'll communicate that through all of our channels. We'll make it really clear in terms of what the legal requirements are and the government requirements are, because as I said at the start, that's what we will be following. And then obviously based on whatever information we get, the club will form a position on that, whether it be through a policy and just try to make sure, again, it's our absolute intent is to make sure that we're following the rules, we're providing a safe and enjoyable place for everyone to be. We're not going to overcook it, but we are going to make sure that we're making it safe for everybody as well. Obviously, there will be different situations. There'll be reasons if vaccination was to become an issue, or if you do wish to speak to somebody confidentially around vaccination or what that means, especially after we release any more information on that once we hear what may or may not be in place. Dave Cowell, obviously our president, Andrew Louis, junior manager, Rob Fernandes, our senior coach. Feel free to reach out to those guys. We're not here to try to be the police or anything like that, but we've obviously got responsibilities that we need to make as a club, and we will follow whatever they look like as well. One more slide from me, and I think I can hand over. So I think this is really important, some of these things. So these are our responsibilities. It's a different year again. We're hoping the cricket will be enjoyable as last season, where for most of last season, I think once we got started, we sort of nearly forgot the world of COVID. There wasn't much that made us think that we did have this thing floating around us. It was an opportunity to escape it in many regards, and we did so really safely, and by all accounts, really enjoyably. Please, obviously, let your coaches or your captains, juniors and seniors know of any unavailabilities throughout the season. During these COVID times, especially more than ever, it's really important to provide that information up front because we want to maximise people playing. So let people know. We're looking at different ways how we can make this easier for you to do that rather than the old way of picking up the phone or whatnot, but we'll come back to you on that. We're also very mindful that we've been locked up for a long period of time. So, you know, previously there was, whilst we're wanting everyone to play all of the time, we're very understanding of the fact that there will be occasions whereby you know, family commitments will come up, juniors and seniors, firsts or fifths. We encourage people to not just let captains or coaches know, but have that conversation if those commitments do come up. We know that there's a lot of things people have missed out on. Cricket's one, but it's at the end of the day, it's not the be all and end all. So there will be things that come out throughout the season. Have those conversations with your coaches in the juniors, with your captains, with Rob Ferdinands, with Bluey, so we can work out, you know, exactly where things are at, and we can, you know, roster as required in the juniors or work out other opportunities in the seniors as well. When you attend the ground, as I said before, please scan in. You know, we've got the 2 Service Vic apps ready to go, or sorry, posters ready to go. So please scan in. It is a requirement. We do ask that you do that. And then obviously do the right things around your teammates and hygiene requirements. I'm not going to go through them all tonight, but you know, they're the things that we've been hearing for the last 20 months. You know, making sure that we will have the sanitizer there, you know, it's the social distancing, it's all of those types of things. So we say there that we're lucky to be playing sport. We said that 12 months ago, and you know, it makes you realise just how much we probably are, because it is a break in terms of the normal life. Be patient, I suppose, with everybody as well is our request. And most importantly, and this, I suppose, from the COVID officer for me, if you see something that you think's wrong, let us know, please. We're not going to get everything right. We're going to make mistakes, but we're not going to know that necessarily unless we're told. So if you guys can let us know, whether it's through your coach, whether it's through the junior manager, senior coach, committee members, whoever, if you see something that you think's not right, put your hand up, let us know. We can fix it if we need to then, and we can move on and make sure that it continues to be safe and an enjoyable place. So that's it. And finally, down there in red down the bottom, obviously in terms of everything we're doing in life at the moment, if you are unwell, as much as we want you playing cricket, go out, get that test negative, and then get yourself back. We do ask that you don't attend the facilities if you're not feeling well until you've been cleared of any negative test. So I think that's all from me. As I said, I didn't want to dwell too much on it, but I think it's really important to let everybody know at the club, juniors, seniors, families, everybody, that we've you know, there's a lot of work that's happened in this, not just from the club perspective, but at the association and Cricket Victoria, to make sure that it will be safe and it will be an enjoyable season for all. As I said, just like last year, it's slightly different circumstances this year, hopefully closer to the end than the start. But yeah, that's really all for me. Thank you, JP.
Thanks, Rob. Really appreciate all the time and effort you put into getting that, along with Rob Ferdinands, Bluey and Dave Cow putting this all together for everyone. So thanks, Rob. As Rob touched on in his COVID talk, subject to government announcements, training will commence next Monday for juniors. And then from then on, I think we're going to be have teams training every night of the week up at Nuttawading, so which is great. And then the season will commence for juniors at this stage on Friday the 12th of November, followed by the other junior sides that play Saturdays and Sundays as well. And seniors will kick off on Saturday the 13th. At this stage, we're hoping to get Blasters up and going on that Friday the 12th of November, but Daniel Smith and Claire will let everyone know from Blasters, but that's our aim at the moment, to get it up and running that night. Just need to check. For seniors, we're going to have 14 one-day games per grade. The first, seconds and thirds will all be 40 overs each. The fourths and fifths, because we're a bit older and slower, will be 35 overs each. This is also subject to approvals for social interaction as well. Once we finish playing the game, at the moment, it'll all be downstairs until we give them better direction from Cricket Victoria, where we can go back up into the social rooms. As Rob highlighted, when we come to play or train, there is going to be a QR code, and the A-frame board will be out with posters that have been printed with a QR code. If you could please scan in And then once the social rooms do open, there'll be a different QR code so that all those that are playing cricket, some don't come up. If anything was to happen, it separates the two lots of people from inside the social rooms to outside the playing. The juniors this year, something a little bit different. We're going to be starting at 4:45 on a Friday night, so 15 minutes earlier. That's due to light, and they just want to get as much cricket in as they can. And as I touched on before, we need a couple of under 16 players. So if anyone knows of any under 16s, please get in contact with Bluey, and because we would love to get a few more to get a full side up. Currently, we've got 9. We'd love to get 11 or 12. Rule changes. Rather than be my voice, I might hand over to Robin. If you want to go through this, Robin, please. Take yourself off mute.
Here we go.
Beautiful.
Thanks, JP. Great so far, guys, too. Rob Nash, great overview, mate. Thank you. So some rule changes. Look, they're pretty similar here to last year, but it's really good that we reiterate it. It has been a little while. Obviously, no food or drink can be supplied, so bring your own for afternoon teas and dinners for those people playing Fridays and Wednesday nights. While we're playing, you don't need your masks on. Just be really clear while you're practicing and playing. Not required. A little ongoing change for our first 11, definitely in coloured clothing this year. So if anyone hasn't ordered, you're probably in trouble. It's probably too late. But we will be having white balls and coloured clothing in the first 11 this year. The long-term plan is to also filter that down for one-day cricket into the lower grades too. Again, keep your jumpers and caps away from the umpires. They don't want them, so we'll place them directly behind the umpires. Other players can potentially wear the hats on top of their other hat, as some people have been doing previously. Again, no saliva or perspiration to polish the ball. Just good old hard work on the trouser leg. And this year, as we've already outlined, just one-day games. The new requirement, batting retirement for 50 runs, that applies to the 4th and 5th and across the juniors. Obviously trying to give more people a bit of a go, and also there must be 5 bowlers in every grade in seniors. I think the next one's mine too, JP.
Yeah, just on that, same as last season, just want to touch on that. That's for all juniors and seniors. That first part that you went into, the last part was sort of more for the senior side, but the first, same as last season, is really, it's for everyone throughout the whole of the cricket club.
Thanks, mate. So gradings, a couple of little changes here. Unfortunately, the first were relegated. So when Peter White Shield, but I think the message behind the whole of this slide is, if you look at the makeup of the sides we have there, they're very competitive grades still. So we're still playing against 4 first 11 sides, even though we're in probably the 4th grade down from the top. So it's no walkover going down a grade. Still need to perform. Second 11 is in C grade. Again, a nice combination of second 11 and third 11. So again, nothing too easy. Third 11 is in D grade, which is up from E grade last year, I believe. The main reason behind that is we wanted our third 11 to be in a 40 over competition, and the grades below that are actually 35 overs. Fourth 11's G grade this year, and the fifth 11 will be J grade, the bottom of the gradings. Really, that's our developmental pool where we can expose our young cricketers to the game, and also give some of our older, less enthusiastic with fitness and training a chance to still continue to play and enjoy it. So yeah, right at the bottom of the grades, but should be perfect for what we need. The next slide is pretty busy, but basically that shows you who we will be playing against in each grade for those people who like detail. I won't go through it, but you can see if you've got any rivalries coming up in your particular grades for those senior players. Thanks, mate. Just go to the next one. Back to you, JP.
Yeah, the next slide basically is what everyone knows. in regards to the QR code scanning in. So it's just, it's imperative that we do it, so we know who's safe, and basically everyone has to do it. That's the government's mandate. So we'll have the information up there for you to scan in when you come to training or up in the social rooms when they open. Right, next one is availability, which I'll hand over to Bluey. He can talk us through the next couple of slides, because it's then it's the availability through My Cricket, which is more seniors, and then we're going to go into the junior side of things, which Bluey will take control of.
Thanks, JP. So we trialled this I think last season, and it was relatively successful. This is for senior cricket. So the reason for doing this is that there's a lot of work that needs to be done now every week, given they're all one-dayers. Scott Witherden is our chairman of selectors, and to make life easier for Scott and all the captains in particular, we'll be sending out emails to everyone via My Cricket. So they're automated emails with a series of dates. So this is an example on the screen here. It's a bit small, I know, but I can't zoom any more than that. Unfortunately, I'm on full screen. I don't think I can zoom anymore. So you don't need to see the detail. Essentially, what it is a whole list of dates, and then you'll get an email like this, and you click on the URL, on the link, and that'll take you straight through to the availability page. You don't need to know your My Cricket ID. You don't need to know your password. It automatically recognizes who you are. And so you go in and you just click when you're available. It's pretty easy. I would say, given they're all one-dayers, we might do this in blocks of before Christmas and then after Christmas, something like that. So it's relatively straightforward. It makes life a hell of a lot easier, rather than, getting messages from people, and Scott having to track those. So, but this is for senior cricket only. So that's an example there. All of the grades will come up, but most importantly, all you need to do is just tick or cross the date. If you're available, or if you're not, we understand. We've already said we're all hanging to get away and go on holidays and stuff, but I think you're also hanging to play a bit of cricket. So, but if you know when you're going to be away, it's great just to put that in. So that will make life hopefully easier to manage, particularly for Scott.
Sorry, mate, just on that, if you do go in now, I think because there's no fixtures up, obviously there won't be anything there. So can't put the availability in until we communicate that. Is that right?
Correct. So yeah, that's right. So not until the fixtures are confirmed. So that's when you can go in, and so you'll get an email, and it's that time that you just click on the link to My Cricket. So yeah. So so my role is junior manager at the club. So all the junior families hopefully have received probably too many emails from me, but I've been trying to keep you all in the loop and communicate when we get any updates, and also hopefully get all the kids excited about the upcoming season. So this, again, the detail is a little bit small on the screen probably, but we've got a really great team behind us. So the program is a relatively big one for the association. There's nearly about 140, nearly 150 kids across the program, from junior blasters right through to under 18s. I'm lucky enough to have Rob Ferdinand, who helps me particularly around the coaches and being coaching director, but also has been the driving force behind our girls cricket and the success of our stage 1 girls team, which is now standalone, as was mentioned, which is really great. Now our next aim is to create a good pathway for those girls as they come through the junior ranks. Claire and Daniel Smith are just absolute guns at what they do in coordinating the Woolworths Blast program. They've been doing that for a number of years now. And, you know, without them, we wouldn't have anywhere near the success we have now, because we're starting to see the fruits of that, you know, of that labour come through our junior program. So they do a lot of work. They really take a lot of pressure off me, because they basically look after that program, which is excellent. And I get a lot of assistance from Glenn Mackey, who helps me with the finances around juniors with 140, 150 kids. There's a bit of work to be done there. But most importantly, for me, is our continued investment and priority around child safety. So Tanya Tynan has put her hand up to take over from Louisa Mackey, who was in this role as Child Safe Officer last year. So I want to thank Louisa for her efforts in getting this, I guess, up and running and get the ball rolling. And also to thank Tanya, who's on the line, I think, tonight. And I might get Tanya maybe just briefly to introduce herself, just so you can put a name to a face to the name. So are you there, Tanya?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. I'll let you just speak just briefly to your role, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes. Yeah, as you said, I've been just taking over from Louisa Mackey, and the child safety officer is a role that every club must have as per Cricket Australia, and it's just to ensure that a safe working environment is created at the club. Cricket Australia have a legislation framework that all clubs need to work with and to protect the children, and procedures are aligned with Cricket Australia of a code of conduct for behaviour. For example, all parents in roles have to have a working with children check, which Tom Taylor is going to be on board with checking all of those. And it's just to ensure that the club has best practice and reports any complaints to the proper authority depending on the case circumstance. I'm with Hamish McLean's my son, so I'll be around juniors quite a bit, especially in the under 12. So it's for any child or parent or anyone that just wants to come to me if they've got any questions at all or comments. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tanya, and thanks again for filling that really critical role in our junior program. We've initiated a couple of things, such as the coaching applications and references, reference checks. We've got forms now for parents to essentially ensure that their kids have got approval from the parents to play senior cricket when they're in the junior program, and we'll continue to work with the community. And if you have any suggestions, please reach out. So I think the other key role has already been mentioned. So Rob Nash, plays a key role across the whole club, but helps me with the junior program as Covert officer, but also as the previous junior manager for 7 years. So he's a wealth of experience and one that I often turn to for advice. So I guess within this structure, then we have our team coaches who play critical role, volunteering their time, to coach your kids, those in the junior program. So they are a critical part of this structure, as well as working very closely with team managers. So another real key role, really coordinating comms and ensuring they're across the rules and supporting the coaches across all the age groups. So really briefly here, I've mentioned Rob and his role as coaching director. We've just finished a series of online coaching sessions, which hopefully some, if not quite a few of you have seen. We recorded all those and posted them on YouTube and shared the links with you. We had consistent kind of 6 or 8 attendees come along to those, which is great. And some new faces as well, learning about, what it really takes to become a junior coach and, a successful coach. So thank you to Rob for giving up again your time and putting together that program. We would normally run those in person, but clearly in the times we're in, we ran them as online sessions again. Rob's role is to manage kind of the broader team, coaching team, and that, that's a focus on match day, with an approach that, there's equal opportunity for all of our kids, but also technical skill development. He's always there if you want to reach out to Rob as coaching director, want to know a bit more about, cricket IQ and the game and strategy and that kind of thing. Rob has a wealth of experience. The practice structure as well, as part of that online coaching session, a big focus of that was about successful, training sessions and practice. So that's about planning, having to, working through desired outcomes, how you actually deliver those training sessions. We invest a lot of time, effort, and some finances into coaching. So, we take it very seriously. Your kids, the junior program and the players' development is a key focus, but we want to ensure that practice and games are always fun, engaging, and a learning process. So just a quick overview. JP mentioned that we will be training just about every night. Monday night is pretty busy. I've listed here that the key coaching teams involved across the age groups, and then across the nights. So so every night there's activity around the club, which is great. Friday and Wednesday nights, obviously we've got the girls who will be playing every second week probably on Bob Saker Oval, and then on the Friday night all three grounds will generally be in game mode, as well as blasters on the soccer pitch. So lots of activity around the club, and I can't wait to get back into it all. The plan is to get this up and running from next Monday. If we get the all clear, we'll get those comms out ASAP as soon as we know. But at this stage, we're working towards a Monday 25th start, which is great. I've mentioned about child safety, so has Tanya. So I won't reiterate this, but essentially our committee has committed to promoting and endorsing these policies and codes of behaviour. Tanya and Tom are working together to ensure that we've got, working with children's checks in order for all of our volunteers, etc. So, this remains a standing agenda and a priority for our club and committee. And, we want to build this kind of culture of a safe learning environment for our kids in particular. So I think that's it, JP, from me.
Thanks, Bluey. Just before we get on to some questions that people may have, Glenn Mackey, who is running the Toyota raffle, he just wants to say a couple of words about that. Glenn, I think Andrew will send out an email tomorrow to all junior parents if you haven't already. I know that every senior cricketer has received a link for My Cricket. Every ticket you buy, the proceeds come back towards us. You go in the draw to win a car and lots of other good prizes. So if you could purchase a couple of tickets, we'd very much appreciate it. But I'll get Glenn Mackey just to say a few other words about it, please.
So JP summed it up. With the way things go with COVID last year and this year, we have very limited opportunities to raise funds that we would normally do through Friday night meals, Saturday night after games. So it's pretty important for us to raise funds where we can get them from outside of the club by selling a ticket to friends, neighbours, work colleagues, whatever. It makes it all a little bit easier. Toyota donate the prizes. There's no cost to us. So every cent of every ticket comes back to the club. So you may have received a couple of emails. I use the My Cricket list to send emails out. So if you got them twice, I apologise for that. But if you can, buy a ticket, share the link with someone, and it's should be a fairly easy way for us to make up for some lost funds that we would otherwise not have in these times.
Thanks, Max. Appreciate that. Thank you to everyone for jumping on tonight. I think we had 80 was our maximum that we had on at one stage. To Rob Nash for your COVID update, Andrew Zeeble for the juniors, Robin Fernandes for all your updates with seniors is still to come, and Dave Cow and Max for all the work they've done with the kitchen. So we've seen a few questions come through. If we haven't answered them, we will be going back through those and we will answer those questions. Has anyone got any questions they want to ask that we might not have raised, please?
Bluey, will you send this spreadsheet or this stuff through to everyone that we saw tonight?
Yep, the slide set will be shared with all the whole
Beautiful.
community for sure. Yep, and we're also recording the session, which I probably should have mentioned at the very start. Yeah, so I'll make that available through our YouTube channel as well.
Cool. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, we've got a YouTube channel, have we?
Yes.
We'll share that too. So thank you for everyone else. If anyone else has any other questions, please let us know.
There was a question from Ravi in the chat.
I can address that. So yeah, so sevens and nines are the stage 1 and 2 cricket development kind of non-competitive stages. So we are planning on having on the Thursday night an opportunity for kids to determine whether they're ready for that transition. So the first couple of weeks of the Thursday 5 till 6, which is when the sevens are training, and probably one of the fast nines teams will be training that same time. We'll get the kids in with the harder ball just to see whether they're ready for that stage. So so Ravi, hopefully that answers that question of what's required, and also they're working with children's. We will hope that all of our volunteers, when they're working with the kids, will have the working with children's check. Yep. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
And there is a possibility for a mix as well. Yes. Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. If there's no other questions, for all the junior parents, thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing you all from next week. We go into the senior side of things next, where Robin will take us through that. Any juniors that are thinking about playing seniors, if you'd like to stay on the line, probably going to take about half an hour. We'll get through this. So thank you very much. There was one other question, Bluey. Age limit for the fast nines.
Yep. So not really. It's really stage and development specific. So there's suggested ages, but no age limit. So just reach out to me via email if you're not sure where your child might be best suited, and I'll work with the parents and the coaches to make sure that they're in the right stage. So yeah, I think there was another question about registration. So Liam asked about registering. I'm not sure whether that was for seniors or juniors. Liam, are you still on the line? Did you want to clarify? Juniors. Yeah. So just send me an email if it's a new junior player. Everything gets done online and via My Cricket. So just send me an email to that email address I just put in the chat, and we can take it from there.
They're pretty straightforward once you get through and you've got your My Cricket ID.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bluey. Appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, for staying on. For all your senior cricketers, there's about half an hour to go. So I'll hand over to you, Robin, for the next one, please.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Who's heading off? Appreciate your time. Seniors. So just wanted to go over, reiterate. We've got not a new focus, but we're reiterating the really key themes around how we should be training and playing. And we wanted to put in some actual standards for everyone to know exactly what is required of them. And I suppose we've had these sort of in some sense along the way, but the difference this year is we're going to enforce them. I think our playing performance levels are definitely reflective of where we've been in terms of how we've trained. There's lots of scope for improvement, and we've had some feedback from players that they'd like to lift that standard. So that's what we've put in place. To do that, we've put in a number of things. Bluey mentioned we've got Scotty Witherden as chairman of selectors. He's also going to be running the nets for us, which frees up a number of us to actually go and coach and do the things that are more value add. So, that's definitely going to be a big piece of the puzzle. I think that will definitely help. We'll talk about training when we get there in a minute, but it's really about getting the fundamentals right, guys. Training the right way, spending time working on your skills, working on your fitness, working on your mental aptitude for the game. Something we don't have in this pack, but something we're talking about as a committee is a program to help us develop our mental capabilities, particularly around confidence, resilience, and coping strategies under pressure. So we haven't quite got to the point where we've got that program locked in, but there's a proposal on the table which we're reviewing. I'd be interested to get some feedback from you guys. It really depends on how much commitment you guys want to put towards things. We'll keep putting things forward, but if there's no take up, well, we stop doing it. So I'd love to know how many of you maybe chuck into the chat if you think a mental skills program is something you'd be interested in. Stick some feedback in there, or when we get some questions at the end, I'm happy to have a little quick chat at the end too. There should be plenty of time for that. Thanks, mate. Sorry, the focus for this stuff is primarily the 1s and 2s. Obviously, we've got a lot of social cricketers, but there's nothing stopping from guys from playing in the 5th and 4th and 3rds from embracing all this stuff. It's going to help you in your game, and it'll also make the club stronger at all levels. So encourage you all to get involved, but the people who are really targeting are the top 1 and 2 grades, because we really think that sets the standard for the whole club and sets us up for success. The core values. So Josh and I had a great program, a bit of a boot camp type session planned for September this year. Unfortunately, that's all been scuttled. And one of the things I wanted to do with the senior playing group is actually talk about these values and get some commitment from you. We've got some we put down on paper here, but we want you guys to own them. So we're open to ideas on how to make these better. If these aren't the key things, I think they're pretty good. I don't think they'll need to be tweaked too much, but some of the things that we'd really like to see everyone embracing in terms of values are here. So I just want to go through them and reiterate them quickly. Healy coming in as first 11 captain, obviously he's going to want to put his mark on the club too. So we've had a quick chat to Healy, and I think he's really on board with this. Healy, anything you want to say at this point in time? I think we've covered most things already, sort of off behind the scenes, but anything you'd like to add, mate?
Well, yeah, I'm just looking forward to are you meeting everyone, because I haven't met anyone yet. But yeah, all the things you've got there are something that, as a team, you really have to follow all these guidelines that you've put out, because we really need to, focus on certain areas of the game. A lot of the time, you get sort of lost in, there's too much going through your head all the time. You just got to keep it pretty simple and tough it out a lot of the time. So
you're breaking up a bit there, Hilly. I'll try and translate the Dalek sort of stuff I got through. Hopefully everyone heard a little bit more than I did.
I'm struggling to pick up.
You've got a really bad conception there, mate. So yeah, basically what Hilly, I think, was trying to articulate there, if you didn't get it, was yes, these are key things from him that he absolutely supports. Just keep nodding if I'm going the right direction, Hilly. Yeah, if we can follow all these guidelines, we're on the right track. We're towards success, and Hilly's had a lot of success, and I think these are some of the things that he's really embraced, and probably the whole heap more things which he'll be sharing with us through the upcoming season. So look forward to working closely with you, mate, to get this all up and running and working nice and smoothly. So respect, you know, one of the key things. Yeah, one of the key things for me is that there's absolute respect for everyone on the park. So whether it's a young bloke who's coming to his first game in the first 11, or a bloke who's been and played, you know, hundreds of games there's no difference to me. We show respect on an equal footing to all of those guys all the way along. One of the key things I don't think we've been very good at is resilience. So, you know, when those times got a little bit tough, those close games, we haven't been come out on top too often over the last 3 or 4 years. So it's really something we need to improve on. And from a mental side of things, really putting ourselves in those positions and embracing them and controlling what we can control and getting the right outcome. Teamwork, again, you know, it goes without saying, cricket is really a bunch of individuals, you know, particularly with batting and fielding, not so much. It's much more team orientated, but there is a lot of elements around teamwork that we need to get better at, and that's why it's a core value for us. We won't be tolerating things that aren't team based or team orientated, and we'll talk through some of those non-negotiables a little bit later. And the other big thing for us is we're one club. You know, we've got a first 11, but we're going to treat everyone very similarly all the way down to the fifth 11. And it also extends to our juniors. So we all work together to get the best outcome for the club. Juniors are the driving force of our future success. So absolutely critical that when we have juniors come to our senior training, we're giving them opportunities to be involved and making that experience as comfortable as possible. And we all need to do that, setting the culture and the environment when these guys are around. And we're all embracing guys who aren't quite as skilled. Obviously, there's times when we'll break off into our grades as we need to you know, practice, you know, certain things. But at times we're all going to come together because we are one club. It's really important we continue to do that. And we'll be basing all of our assessments and performance criteria around these core values moving forward. Training standards. So we'd like to kick off training Tuesday and Thursday right on 6 o'clock. So we need everyone there a little bit beforehand. So get there, get your gear put away and be ready to go at 6. So we don't lose as much light as we have tended to sometimes by running a bit late and missing that core training time. I'd really like to know if you can't make training, and there's going to be people who have work commitments. We get that. We're a local club. We're not Premier Cricket grade, but we need to set some basic standards. And one of those things is there's a bit more communication. It's really disappointing. We've put a whole lot of time and effort into organising training, and this year we're going to have 3 or 4 blokes that are going to meet once a week with me quickly to work out what we're going to do for that week in advance, and we'll plan all that out based on rough numbers. But if we get fluctuations from 10 to 20 to 30 to 50, we can't plan for that. So what I'd really like is for you guys to let either myself or your captains know if you can't get to training. I want to know so we can actually plan in advance and not be messed around and waste time doing all this work for nothing. It's really, really frustrating, and it's a waste of time and effort. The club's put in some great resources. Let's make sure we utilise them effectively. One of the things to help things move smoothly, our net captain and I are working to get some whiteboards, or a whiteboard, a big one, with the 3 nets allocated to them. And as you rock up to training, get there a little bit earlier and stick your name down in net 1, 2 or 3 for a bat and a bowl. Then you go off and do your warm up, and when we'll allocate people into the nets accordingly. It's not a free for all. You'll be brought in and as required, and if we need extra players, we'll grab them based on that list. As people rotate out, more people will be dragged in from the fielding sessions. But while those nets are running, there'll be 3 or 4 groups running in parallel. So everyone's active. There's no standing round. We'll have activities assigned or those fielding coaches or senior players have been allocated those roles will actually be have things to do. If they don't have them off the top of their head, if some of these guys like Cowley and that who volunteered wanted a little bit of help, we're going to give them a whole bunch of drills that they can use. It'll take a little while for us to embed them and everyone to get familiar with them. But we'll have a bunch of resources you can all grab and run sessions. And there's nothing stopping you from doing smaller groups on your own as well. But there's no excuses for standing around. Make the most of that hour and a half, whatever we've got together. So we're developing skills and we're moving forward. Too long, we've sort of been, sitting back and resting on our laurels. We need to perform now with all these resources we've had. In terms
will the nets be allocated for ability, I guess, grades?
Yeah, effectively, yes. So net one, the far left one typically would be 4s and 5s, 2s and 3s, 1s and 2s, somewhere around that mix. We'll have to work out who we got in there. But most people should know roughly where they're at. But if not, sure, talk to the net captain and we can allocate that in for you. Training, I'd like to see a little bit more consistency in what we're wearing. So we should all have these purple training tops. That's definitely on for training, dark shorts or track pants. I want us to look like a club. It's the small things that make a difference in terms of a little bit of discipline. So if people are going past, they go, wow, they look professional. It's a small thing. And yes, the training tops, I think we do have some stock there. Maxie can probably answer that one for Lisa in terms of stock, or Paddy if he's online. But yes, we definitely have those sort of things available. Some of the playing kits, the specialist tops, you probably need to order in and have some lead time. I think that's enough in terms of that one. You want to go to the next slide for me, Bluey, please? Sorry, one thing on that previous slide. I'd like everyone to stop thinking about themselves as batters and bowlers if that's your particular skill. I don't know how many times we've been in winning positions, but we've lost a couple of wickets and all of a sudden we're into the tail and we don't win that game. Those bowlers also need to be working on their batters to help us get across those close ones. And batters, work on your bowling. We know things happen in games and captain could throw you a ball if he's seen something in the net. So we need everyone working on their non-preferred skills or non-dominant skills. Training standards, thanks, mate. Match day standards for top 2 grades. When we're rocking up to games, again, I want us to look professional. Turn up in your kangaroo playing shirt and jeans or shorts. So again, we look consistent. And then we'll warm up, obviously, in that same shirt and with shorts. Arrive at the ground, be ready to go an hour before. So whatever amount of time you need to be ready to go, I'd like to see you there ready on the ground at 1 hour. I think, there's a little bit of flexibility in that. 1 hour might seem a little bit excessive, but we've set the benchmark. If captains think we're doing everything right, I'm happy to talk to that, but I want that to be consistent across at least the top 2 grades. 3s, 4s and 5s, work it out as captains, please. But 1s and 2s, I want us on the ground prepared, and that'll leave us time to get off the ground with 15, 20 minutes to go and, get a drink, pad up, unwind before we actually get out there right on the 1 o'clock starts. My preference is for us to socialise as a group, not to be on our phones during that time. Again, it's a discipline thing. Focus on what's happening on the field. If we're batting and you've got 2 blokes out there busting their gut in hot weather facing the new ball, I want you guys sitting on the sidelines focused on them and supporting them to get them through. If they need a drink, I don't want them sitting around waiting. I want that drink straight out. And you can't do that playing on phones. If you need to be on your phone because there's an emergency situation, someone's pregnant, baby due, something happening, that's fine. But I want you to talk to your captains and actually say that's what you're doing. It's again, just a small thing. I'm happy to take feedback, but that's where we're at, unless there's an exception given to you by your captains or by me as the coach. Getting on the ground, again, I want us to be one. That the whole teamwork mentality. We get on the ground together as a group, so no one's stuffing around, putting their shoes on or running back to get a cap. We wait and we hit the ground together, and we come off together regardless of whether we've had a great win or whether it's been a struggle. We come off, we're still a team regardless of the result, and I think that'll hold us in good stead all the way through. One of the things I think that's really been missing, and look, it's probably a reflection of our demographic, being such a young first 11 side. It's not always ideal to hang around at the club, but I'd really like to see us make an effort, if not every week, at least to that on a consistent basis, that we're getting back to match reports, and we're having as a minimum having one drink with our opposition. It's a sign of respect. Now, a number of times over the last couple of years, there's been myself and maybe one or two other blokes sitting down with the whole opposition, all 10 or 11 blokes from the opposition team come back for a drink, and we're not there. That's really, really embarrassing for me, and I don't want it happening again under my watch. So captains in the 1s and 2s as a minimum, and even down the grades. I know it's not always possible having to run back to clubs and stuff, but put some time and effort into this, because it's part of our social fabric, and playing cricket is a very social game, and I want us to be seen as leaders in that side, and we haven't been very good at that previously. And obviously the coloured clothing and those sort of things. If you haven't ordered, pull your fingers out, guys. Have a chat to Maxi and Paddy, and see what we've got available, because that's going to be a requirement for one days moving forward. All right, the non-negotiables. Again, we haven't really been in a situation in previous years around selection, etc. But we've got to the point where we don't care anymore. If you guys aren't following the standards we're setting down, I don't care who you are. You won't be playing. You're missing games for reasons that aren't for us legitimate reasons for missing games. You might not come back straight into that grade if you're available the next week. I want to give people who are doing the right things, training, turning up each week to matches. If you're missing because you got a big day coming up or something or whatever, exams, understand, work, let us know in advance, no problem. But I want to know why. And if we deem as a committee and as a leadership group that it's not appropriate for you to miss for that particular reason, well, there might be some consequences to enforce that. And I'm not worried about losing games if our best player is not embracing what we're setting down. That's unfortunate. It might cost us a win, but I think going forward it'll hold us in much better stead. This is all about team. It's one in, all in. I saw a little message in the chat before. That's absolutely where we're going. We need to all be striving to be the best players and performing at the best standard. Otherwise, we're not going to get there, guys. And we might as well stop investing in, coaching and bringing in great players and experience. Little things again, being late for training and matches just upsets the whole apple cart. If we're having to run around because people aren't there doing things that those people should have been doing or were one short on the field, it doesn't help anyone. So we know stuff happens. That's fine. We can't control everything, but unless there's a legitimate excuse, those sort of things will add up and have consequences to potentially playing in the grade you want to play and with your mates potentially. The things that really annoy me is seeing one or two blokes setting up and packing up every week, and a bunch of blokes just rocking up and playing and disappearing and not doing any of that. Again, not acceptable. And captains shouldn't need to be reinforcing this. This is something we can all do. We're all grown-ups. We all come in and we ask what needs to be done, or there might be allocated roles depending on how organised your captain is. But cones, tables, chairs for home matches, scoreboards, we all know what needs to be done. Get there a little bit earlier on home games and get it done. just sick and tired of one or two blokes having to carry that burden. They shouldn't have to do it. Just shouldn't have to do it. There's no excuses anymore. And the same for cleaning up the change rooms. You know, if you've got drink bottles and empty sandwich wrappers or whatever, pick it up, put it in the bin. There's no cleaners. We don't have cleaners. No one gets paid to clean up after you. Do those little things. Place would be such a nice place to rock up to if we all just do a little bit. It's not rocket science, and it's not hard, to be honest. Match reports and club functions, the other one. If we're able to have club functions, please get along and support it. As Maxie said, really, really hard to raise revenue for the club in these current conditions. If we do manage to get something up and running later in the year, get along, support it. We had some great beer pong nights, which were great fun and really well supported. So I'd like to see that trend continue on the social side. And I think I've talked to these. Let me just plug in my laptop so I don't run out and disappear on you guys. 1 second. We're back. Good. Obviously some ramifications. These are all at our disposal. Things we can do. It'll be up to the leadership group as to which way we go, but they're not things we do lightly, but as I said, we're happy to do it to get the changes that we're after if we need to. Yeah, enough said, I think. Any questions, comments?
Rob, just want to say a big thank you to Robin, Dave Cow, Andrew or Bluey, and Rob Nash for all the time and effort they put in for putting that slideshow together. Very much appreciated, really informative. And I think the most relaxed on this call, I think, is Happy. Really, I think he's been to his bedroom, in his bed, he's been outside for a dart. Well, it's good to see so many people on this call, though, 40 people, it's great. So, anyone got any questions? Just one thing I did see Paddy put up, if anyone is after any apparel, especially a Kangaroo's top with a number and your name on it, they're putting in an order in the next day or two. So jump on board pretty quick. Otherwise, there's no more coming for a couple of months probably. So please jump on that quickly. Email Paddy at apparel@nunawadingcc.com.au.
Beautiful. Last thing I just want to add, JP, if anyone's keen to do a bit of a training session on Sunday down at the club, I'm happy to facilitate something down there. Let me pre-warn you, the grounds have just been all sanded. It's a bit of a beach, so ground balls might be a little bit difficult. And as you well know, our nets do not drain very well, but I've got a bunch of yellow balls, so we can do some stuff without having to have perfectly dry nets. But I haven't looked at the weather forecast because it scares me at the moment. It's just rain. But if there is anyone keen, I can see one hand up from Happy.
What time are you talking, Robin?
What's that, mate? Sorry?
What sort of time are you talking?
I'm flexible. I'm thinking probably early afternoon, if that works. What's like a 1 o'clock?
Yeah, I'll be up for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to me.
Can you make it 12 through about 10 p.m?
Nice.
Just one thing, Robin. I think most people on this call, do you want to introduce the captains?
You're not talking, can you just mute, guys? Thanks. What was that,
Do you want to introduce the captains for this year?
Yeah, sure, mate. So I think you mentioned Hilly, who can give us a wave there. He's our first 11 captain, obviously, been nominated this year and accepted kindly. Thanks, Hilly. Welcome aboard. Twos, it's a shared role. Scotty Jackson and Andrew Siebel otherwise known as Bluey or Cooks or whatever other names he goes under. Thirds, welcome to the leadership group, Johnny Kennett. Thanks for helping us out, mate. Give us a wave, Johnny. Thanks, buddy. Obviously, Roger's got some other priorities. So thanks, Rog, for all your help with the thirds over the last few years. He's not completely gone. As you can see, he's on the call, but Bub's not far away. So good luck with all of that, mate. And look forward to seeing you around the club, maybe with a beer in hand rather than the cricket bat. But obviously, you're more than welcome. Fours, the stalwart, JP, back again, obviously ably assisted with Pete Jessup, as per usual, mate, down there. Thank you, buddy. Give us a wave, mate. Everyone knows who you are. And fifths, thanks to Jeff Woolley, who's recovered remarkably well, I believe, who's now, fitter and faster than ever. Give us a wave, Mr. Woolley.
It wouldn't be too hard.
So that's our leadership group. If we do have any young and aspiring leaders, as always, we're open to trying to facilitate that. Maybe a vice captaincy role, working under one of those guys, or just taking on some responsibilities if you're keen to do that. Always happy to help. Just stick your hand up, let myself or your captain know around that.
Beautiful. Is there any other questions, boys?
Yeah.
Oh, look at him, laid back.
Yeah, why not? Are you guys enforcing, like, are we doing the week to week for the subs and that again, or
yeah, so
start of the season?
Yeah, good question, Happy. We are doing weekly subs, so we're not given the nature of the season, and we actually found it better as a club to get revenue into.
Yeah. So the second part of that is enforcing it. Like, it was a shit fight last season trying to chase. So just a delegate each team again.
Yeah. So it's really up. I don't expect the captains to be that one. They've got enough on their plate. I would expect captains to delegate someone in the team to get that sorted before when everyone rocks up, preferably, rather than rushing at the end of the game. If anyone's having difficulty with that, they just need to speak to me or JP or Cowley for a bit of support. We're happy to chase the recalcitrants, and just so everyone's aware, every week captains are submitting a list of who has and hasn't paid, and that is reconciled by those guys.
True.
They don't go without paying. They are eventually going to follow it up, but like everything sorted on the day is our preference.
Bit of consistency.
Yeah,
makes life easier if it's done week to week.
Yeah,
less chasing around.
And what's to go with the fine system, Rob?
Well, we haven't got anything in place. This is going to be done on a team by team basis, but
good. Me and Johnny were talking about this.
Yeah, so I think it's great. It adds a little bit of morale.
It does.
A fine for drop catches and being late and little things like that, and then you can have, a trip away. You've got a little bit of a kitty in each of those grades. So I'm going to leave that one to the captains. I'm not going to prescribe something you need to do at a club level.
That's a fine for not being a leader, Rob.
for running away. I'll put in $1, mate. Do with that. I thought we started this really well in the ones last year, and I thought it was going well, but it sort of lost a little bit of momentum. So I'd like to get that back.
Yeah.
In each grade, something adds a little bit of fun, and gives someone the opportunity to be a fine master because they like to be, in control.
Yeah.
With training, Robin, Tuesdays and Thursday nights. A lot of guys in the lower grades don't train 2 nights a week, so most of them are on a Thursday. You're looking at making the Tuesday night more towards a certain way, or just everyone's available?
I'm not really setting up Tuesdays and Thursdays as any different at this point in time. It really depends on numbers. If there's something that I really want to focus on as a club, it'll probably be on the bigger night, the Thursday night. So if I'm seeing areas where we're all falling down, whether that's fielding, whatever, we might focus on that on Thursday so everyone gets to target it as a group. We'll review that as that sort of fielding leadership group, maybe on the Monday to what we want to do for that week. Tuesday would be primarily skills for those guys who can get there, and maybe some targeted stuff on the Thursday is what I'm thinking.
Rob,
I don't know if,
Rob, Tuesdays will be compromised anyway with the T20 comp.
Yes, potentially. Yeah. Josh, you want to add anything to that, mate?
No, not really anything to add, Rob.
Thanks, assistant coach.
No problem.
Maybe you mentioned the T20, Rob.
I might throw that to Hilly. Yeah, we're keen to offer guys an opportunity to play some more competitive cricket. I think it's Tuesday nights. Obviously, Hilly's played in that.
Rob's just dropped out there.
What's that? I've dropped out, or Hilly?
You're back. No, you're back now.
Yeah, have a crack, Hilly, and we'll see how we go. Maybe turn your video off, see if that helps audio.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
Now he's gone altogether, I think.
Hey, Rob, it's Dave. I can have a crack because.
Sorry, Callie.
I can. Darren and I have talked about it a lot. So if you can't, I can talk to it if he's not. He's got comms.
He's on mute, which is probably not helping either.
He hasn't got Luke there to push the buttons for him.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Hilly, take yourself off mute and try again. Callie, you jump in, mate. Go for it.
All right. So the idea is that, like I spoke to Darren about it, he thought it was a fantastic idea. So Darren's going to captain the team, and it's an Nunawading 2020 team. I've asked to be in the lowest grade. I think this was 3 grades last year. But the key, it's a little bit of a different theme in that it doesn't have to only be Nunawading players. So if you've got a mate, your best mate plays at another club, and you're keen to have a run with him, sign him up for T20. Hilly's 2 boys are playing, for example, and they play at another club. So it's going to be it's Nunawading Cricket Club 2020, but you don't have to be registered to play for Nunawading on a Saturday. It's a bit different. We're going to have a crack. Darren's pretty fair income to try and be as successful as possible, and we're going to play it hard. And also we want young boys to have a crack as well if they can, particularly the older junior boys if they want to have some fun, learn a bit about playing with guys like Darren and getting involved in some attacking cricket, put their hand up for the 2020. That's it. Thanks, mate.
All right. Thanks, Dave. All right, guys. If there's no more questions, those that are available on Sunday, be down at Nunawading Money Reserve at 1 o'clock, and there'll be a light session there to kick things over, and then we kick into gear from Tuesday night. We've all been locked up for a long time, so I'm tipping next Tuesday and Thursday might be a big night. Thursday night we will organise an esky so we can sell some cans afterwards. Obviously, keeping apart, Robert. But yeah, next week looks like it's going to be a big week, so we can all get back, socialise a little bit, because we haven't seen each other for, well, anyone really, for quite a long time.
JP, can you just get a quick indication of anyone who would be interested in that mental skills program about performance?
Short answer is yes. One of the notes, I've got a few notes, but, especially around that resilience piece that you've mentioned, like there are strategies and things you can do around that. And part of that's from the mental coaching, if you will, and which a lot of it is about just having strategies and practicing them. Yeah, you can learn it from the old blokes as well, but that can help there. So yeah, I think it's worthwhile. It's more worthwhile the younger you are, but it's still worthwhile for life as well as cricket.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of these skills, they're not just work cricket related. It's work, performing under pressure in those situations outside. So yeah, lots of value. Quickly.
How much for it?
Can I get a plug in?
Go, Kevy.
Sorry, for most of you know, obviously I'm the secretary, but there's a few new players to the club, so I do a lot of the admin stuff. So some of the boys who come from Roval, Fantry Gully, Hilly, I think Harrison, I've done the transfers for them. If there's anyone else who's new to playing at under one, if they could let me know, and I'll do the necessary registration for you. I'll be around at training, so you'll see me. So you can contact me there if anyone's new. But I think most of you know I'm the secretary. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Not too much.